Hello and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew and today we're going to talk about the PlayStation 5 and the games that have been launching on that recently. So we had Horizon Forbidden West, now we got Gran Turismo 7. Both of these games sitting at an 88. 88 is not a bad score, but we'll get into why I think that's happening. So if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's pick this apart for a minute. So, back to back. PlayStation 5 games. Well, I mean, I guess you can add Sifu in here too. That one got an 80. So you got Sifu, you got Horizon Forbidden West, and now you have Gran Turismo 7, all rating 88, just under 90. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that these are essentially PlayStation 4 games. And if you think about it, PlayStation 4 went out on a high note with those last games that it put out. And now we're a year into the PlayStation 5 generation, and these games look, feel, play, and are essentially PlayStation 4 games. And that's the same thing that's going to happen with God of War as well, I believe. I believe that God of War, I don't think that I believe that game is going to fall pretty much in line with what the rest of these are doing. And I feel that way is because either the PlayStation 4 technology or limitations or whatever is really hampering the design of these games going forward. If you step back and you look at what like some of the other games that have come out recently, and then you compare those I mean, they're essentially PlayStation 4 games. And PlayStation first-party games were already kind of small, already kind of, small linear experiences that are highly crafted, highly curated, and created. And now they're starting to feel even smaller, seeing as they're coming out on PlayStation 5. That was kind of the feeling I was getting while I was playing through Horizon Forbidden West. I was like, yeah, this game is good, but it also feels like it could have been bigger, better. The scope of it could have been more. I mean, you're talking about going from the east of the United States to the west of the United States, and you could literally get on the thing and fly across that in like 3 minutes. Like, you could fly all the way across it. It didn't take a long time. Like, it feels small when it should have felt like a grand, epic adventure. And the fact that it doesn't feel like that, and yeah, there's a lot of biomes. There's a lot of different things that went into the makeup of, Horizon Forbidden West, but go right now. Go right now. There's a lot of things that went into the makeup of this game. I mean, the cutscenes are really, really amazing. It really does look really good on PlayStation 5. The cutscenes, they went above and beyond. But that's the thing. The PlayStation 5 can render those cutscenes and make them look freaking otherworldly. Like, yeah, they looked amazing. But then when you get out of the cutscene, you go back to the regular game. And let's face it, some areas look pretty good, but then some areas look really bland. So it kind of just, as you're playing through this experience, you're getting taken out of the immersion and thrown into these like really great cutscenes, and then you're getting put right back into the world that looks a little bit better than it does on the PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4. And that's the thing, because I played the PlayStation 4 version on the PlayStation 5, and aside from like an extra sheen of moss and better textures and stuff like that, it literally looks identical. It literally looks like you're playing a PlayStation 4 game with a shinier coat of paint. And I believe that's the same thing that's now going to happen with Gran Turismo 7. Now, I watched, the Digital Foundry analysis. I watched the analysis from El Analista de Beats, and de Bits, and from what I can tell, this game looks almost identical to Gran Turismo Sport. And I put a lot of time into Gran Turismo Sport. I put a lot of hours into that game. Driving the tracks, driving the courses. And from what I could see looking at their video, I'm like, wow, these literally look the same. They don't look like they increased or enhanced trackside detail whatsoever. They didn't put new objects there. They didn't put new things. Like if you play Forza 7, you can see like tents and background and just other things that make it feel more alive. Like Gran Turismo Sport was probably the loneliest racing experience I'd ever felt in my life. It's just devoid of character. When you get out there and you're doing tracks and laps and stuff like that, and I'm not saying that all of them like I mean, even Assetto Corsa kind of feels that way too on the console. It definitely feels better on the PC, but there's a lot that goes into racing games. A lot of people don't understand, or I mean, it's really easy to like get enamored by like, oh my gosh, these cars are beautiful. But then when you're out on the track, that trackside detail helps keep the immersion, whether you like it or not. Whether you're driving chase cam or your cockpit view, that immersion from looking around and seeing like things that look out of place, like you're driving through a toy set or something, like it's one of those little things that rich guys build on a table, like the little cities or tracks or something, and it just looks fake. It never quite looks real. Well, that kind of pulls you out of the immersion to an extent to where you're like, wow, man, this definitely could look, like a little better with especially if you're in chase cam with these really highly detailed, immaculate looking vehicles. It breaks the immersion. Now, I've done videos side by side of Gran Turismo Sport as well as Forza Horizon or Forza 7, and the sense of feeling that you get in both of these games. I mean, even Forza Horizon 7 or Forza Horizon 5. This game is an open world, but I mean, it looks realistic enough to where you feel like, wow, man, I feel like I'm in this car. I feel like I'm driving. You get really high texture detail. You get really nice lighting. You get so much going on with a true night-day cycle in that game that there's always something to behold, and it always looks beautiful. No matter what you're doing, like when you're riding on the road, it looks like real road. When you get off onto the dirt looks like real dirt. And that's the thing, like that doesn't look like that in Gran Turismo 7. So I do feel like the visuals alone, trackside detail, I think that that's going to affect a lot more people than a lot of people think. And you're going to start feeling that buyer's remorse a lot more because, let's face it, this is a PlayStation first-party game. This is the highest-selling franchise that PlayStation has. And for it to come out like this, a second iteration that doesn't really look better than what we got with GT Sport on the PlayStation 5, because let's face it, GT Sport already looked good on a 4K TV, on a 4K screen. And this is just going to look more pin sharp. But it's still going to have the same bland looking environments that were on GT Sport, and we've seen those since for 5 years now. And they're going to come out with a game with a few more extra tracks, like literally a handful of extra tracks, like 3 extra tracks, maybe 4 extra tracks than what we already had in GT Sport. Why didn't they just bring those tracks to GT Sport and upgrade that for PlayStation 5 and truly work on a true next-gen version of Gran Turismo instead of making us pay another $70 for this, for literally a 3-track detail? I mean, a DLC. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like I'm downloading another 100 gigabytes of DLC for a game I already own that they could have just put a few more tracks into. Because let's face it, the online DMR that's going to be in this Gran Turismo game, once they shut the servers down, you're going to be lost to that game. You're spending $75 for this game. For this PlayStation 5 tax, for what, 4K visuals that we should have had just by buying a new system. It's going to start working against Sony. I mean, the fanboys can only run with this stuff for so long, and like, I want Sony to succeed. I am a PlayStation fan. I love PlayStation games, but at the same time, man, like, where are we really at with this? Like, what is what is the ultimate goal of what PlayStation has right now? You know, I mean, like we can talk about Xbox all day long, but this isn't an Xbox thing. This is a PlayStation thing. This is firmly rooted in PlayStation, and I've been saying this for months now. For months, I have been saying this, that we're at a point with PlayStation to where the Sony Magic just isn't going to work as well as it used to work. We're at a point now where people are spending real money, real good money on freaking high-end TVs to take advantage of these features that are supposed to work with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. And if they're not going to be able to meet that, like why would I want to go spend $1,600 to play a game at 4K 30? Like, why? Why would I do that? I don't need to. I mean, the PlayStation 5 still doesn't even have VRR support, which would have cleared up the performance issues that I've seen on both El Analista David and freaking Digital Foundry's video for this game that should be able to run 4K 60 on a RDNA 2 PlayStation 5, unless that's really not the case. I mean, maybe it's a shaved down RDNA 2 or something along those lines, but I mean, all the games that came out in the beginning of this generation for the PlayStation 5 were remakes, PlayStation 4 games, and Ratchet and Clank being a Pixar game with Pixar graphics. That worked okay, but I mean, now that we start getting closer to realistic graphics, we're starting to see the PlayStation 5 struggle more and more as it goes on. We're seeing games come out that, you know, I'm not saying the Xbox is doing like tremendously better, but I mean, most developers are probably just using double the power of GCN for the Xbox and just putting stuff out there. Probably not even taking full advantage of anything of RDNA 2. And we really haven't seen anything full RDNA 2 yet. So, I mean, it's not like Xbox is out there just running laps around the PlayStation or anything yet. But, I mean, if this is the best the PlayStation can do, then you should probably be a little worried, man, that like, ooh, gosh, man, you're going to be playing a lot of 4K 30 this generation. And that sucks. That really sucks. My heart was broken when I played Horizon Forbidden West. I really didn't want to have to play it in 30 frames a second, but playing that checkerboard version, like I couldn't do that. Like I wanted to see the visuals, and the visuals, let's be completely honest, they weren't like leaps and bounds better than what was on the PlayStation 4 Pro version running on backwards compatibility. Like in the open world without cutscenes, they were not leaps and bounds better on the PlayStation 5. Like some of them looked almost the same. So if that's where we're going, and if that's, you know, the quality we're going to get for our $70 from PlayStation first party studios going forward, I don't know, man. And then with them talking about all these live service games that they're going to start creating, they're going to have 10 of them out by 2023, or what do they say, 2020? Yeah, they said 2023, right? If they're going to have 10 of these games out by then, like what's really, you know, what's really going on? So I don't know. I'm just here doing my PlayStation bad video again, just so that, you know, people will watch it. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, these are my honest feelings about what's going on with PlayStation right now, and why I think that, you know, these lower scores are going to start getting more consistent, and they're going to start popping up like this more, because people are like, yeah, they're good games, but they're PlayStation 4 games. And they're not blowing them away like PlayStation games normally do. Because normally they've got the story and the punch to go with that. And right now we're not getting the full package, because it's not a full next-gen version of a game. It's not a full next-gen game. But we're being charged a full next-gen price for that. So that's why I believe you're starting to see people being a little more frustrated. Because even though I rated Horizon Forbidden West higher, it still was rooted deeply in a last-gen experience. And it felt like a last-gen experience. It was a last-gen experience. And to pay a next-gen price for that, yeah, I can understand I can understand the community out there, you know, really looking at these things and taking them more seriously. And they should, because Xbox really has brought something to the table that's convincing enough to be like, gosh, man, you know what I mean? Like Game Pass, Xbox, there's a really good proposition right there. And if PlayStation is not going to deliver on that promise of premium experience, then yeah, they need to be called out. They need to be held, they need to be held accountable for this, and they need to show, proof of concept of what's going on. Xbox with any of their games, they've been $60, man. Halo Infinite, yeah, it was definitely a last gen experience, but it felt good on a next gen console. Like it performed at 60 frames a second in 4K with nicer visuals than what you would have got on the last gen console. And it also had 120 hertz mode. Like, that felt more of a next gen upgrade. So yeah, it was like, oh dang, this is good. And then, Forza Horizon 5, like, dude, even the world was bigger on the last gen consoles. And it was way better looking. And it ran at 60 frames a second and still looked amazing. That's why that game scored high, because it felt more next gen than Horizon Forbidden West in its 60 hertz mode. Or better than what Gran Turismo 7 is looking with its outdated freaking PlayStation 4 visuals being carried over to a new game. That's where I'm at with it. That's why I feel the way I do. And hopefully Sony will get this sorted out and be able to, come back and start delivering that quality for that $70 price tag they're asking for. People always wonder why I'm so down on Sony and stuff, and it's because they want to charge you more for these experiences, but are they really delivering? I've paid for all of them. I paid full price for every single one of them, and I've paid my upgrade fees for every single game that they've brought over. So yeah, I do feel like I feel like I do have a reason to talk about that, because if I'm not getting the quality, of the product that they're telling me that they're going to give me, then yeah, man, I'm going to call them out, man, and I'm going to be like, no, man, I'm not going to overhype this stuff like like all the other places are out there doing. You see here all these freaking reviews, with all the headlines in their titles. You don't even have to watch their titles. You just hear it. Ew, I definitely recommend this, or this is the best game ever. And like, wow, I can't believe what they did. And it's just so much freaking unnecessary hype that when most regular people get these games, some are going to be none the wiser, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, that's 4K. It looks pretty good, blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to have other people that are just like, really, man? Like, why are they overhyping this? And that's me. I fall into that quarter. Like, why are they overhyping this? I would much rather them come out and be like, yeah, man, this is what we got. And then be like, okay, cool. Instead of like telling me, oh yeah, man, we're going to let the games speak for themselves, and we're going to raise the price $70 and all of that stuff. Because it's like, if PlayStation would have came out with Horizon Forbidden West, Gran Turismo 7, God of War, and been like, yeah, man, these are last gen games. Sorry, it's taken us a lot longer to get them in there. Yep, they're still $60, whatever. I don't think there would be as much friction with me as I am putting out there. But if they're charging me full price for these games, PlayStation 5 price, I want PlayStation 5 products. I don't want a last gen cross-gen game for $70. I want a next-gen game that I can't play on my PlayStation 4 for $70. I don't want dual entitlement. I don't care about dual entitlement. I don't have a PlayStation 4 anymore. I have a PlayStation 5. I don't care about dual entitlement. That does nothing for me. Yeah, it lets me be able to check these out and like put footage on the channel, but for $70, I want my entitlement for the PlayStation 5 version of that game that's supposed to be a dedicated PlayStation 5 game, especially if they're charging me a PlayStation 5 price for that. But that I digress. That is exactly why these games are scoring lower, because they don't feel like there's enough being done to them to really justify that extra price tag. So, if you like this content, don't forget to watch one of these. I really appreciate you coming and watching this. If you made it this far, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.